Well, good afternoon, everyone. Your Excellency, Dr. Thani. It's so good to be standing next to you in beautiful Toronto. It's been a busy couple of days. We've been at it negotiating, and we literally just walked out of the room with the final touches. And so a huge congratulations to our negotiators and our teams. As you know, our new government is really working on this Canada-UAE partnership, and it's growing stronger day by day. Roughly a year ago, when we formed government, we got to work right away. An investment promotion and protection agreement stuck in negotiations for over 10 years. We got it done in a matter of months. After we concluded negotiations in November, Prime Minister Thani visited the UAE to officially sign the agreement alongside His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. That visit unlocked investment opportunities and close to $70 billion commitments from our friends in the UAE. And not too long ago, we tasked our negotiators to work on a free trade agreement. The conflict in the Middle East delayed the start of those negotiations, but we were determined to get this done, and today we are here to tell you all that we got it done. Canada and the United Arab Emirates have concluded negotiations on a comprehensive economic partnership agreement. 2 months and multiple rounds of negotiations, the fastest trade negotiation in Canadian history. Let's take the speed and scope for a moment. Canada has been negotiating trade agreements for over a century. Some of them have taken more than a decade to get across the line. And you ask anyone who has worked on this, and they will tell you the same thing, that these things can take years. But we got it done in 2 months, thanks to our incredible negotiating team, and thanks to Dr. Thani for the collaboration. Our government has made a promise to Canadians. We said that we were going to move at speed this country has never seen before. Not study it, not consult on it forever, not announce a plan to make a plan, but move with relentless focus. And today is what that looks like. Now, having spent 13 years as an international trade specialist, working with hundreds of Canadian businesses across the country, I can tell you firsthand that FTA, free trade agreements, are not done for the sake of just signing a piece of paper. They are done so businesses can grow and can utilize them. Utilize the market access that we have agreed on, whether in goods or services. In January, I led a delegation to the region, and we came home with over $600 million of commercial deals in financial services, technology, education, aerospace, and more. Canadian companies like National Bank, CAE, OpenText, who collectively employ over 30,000 Canadians, are looking to do more in the UAE. Dr. Thani, I want to thank you for your sincerity and your commitment to build on our economic partnership. Even with the conflict in the Middle East, despite the adversity, you brought the best people with you to the table. You pushed when it got hard, and you leaned through a lot of WhatsApp diplomacy. To your negotiators and to ours, thank you. We did in less than 2 months what can usually take over 10 years, as we saw with our investment agreement negotiations. So let me talk about what this actually means for Canadians. The UAE is our #1 export market in the Middle East, $3.5 billion in two-way trade last year. And last year, our exports jumped by 10%, and the momentum is growing. This agreement cut tariffs, reduces red tape, and opens doors across engineering, aerospace, agri-food, clean tech, and more. But don't just take my word for it. I was just in Saskatoon 2 days ago, where I visited Calian. Calian builds space and advanced technology right here in Canada and employs over 6,000 Canadians. They refer to the UAE as a regional leader in space, defense, and advanced technology. They see billions in growth ahead for Canadian companies, and they say that this agreement opens the door to satellite communications, navigation services, and mission-critical technology. Hatch has operated in the UAE for years. They call this a milestone achievement that will help their businesses grow. Multiple companies, multiple industries, and it's the same message across the country. Canadian businesses want in. Our job is to get them there. And this is not only about what we sell, it's also about what gets built in Canada. The UAE has committed $70 billion in investments to Canada. That's new investments in ports, mines, LNG, major projects that support thousands of Canadian jobs. Our investment agreement gives investors the certainty they need to write those checks. This agreement opens the door to do more together. For far too long, Canada has put too many eggs in one basket. We are building resiliency in our supply chains and in our trading relationships. We set a mission for ourselves: double our non-U.S. exports to the tune of $300 billion by 2035 and unlock $1 trillion of new investments. A lot of people said that is too ambitious. To them, I say 2 months. Now let me tell you what comes next, because we are not stopping here. We move to legal review, final signature, and ratification, and at the same pace that we got this far. Our relationship will keep getting stronger as we look forward to hosting our Emirati friends at our Premier Investment Summit in September, right here in Toronto. And I will be going back to the UAE with the Canadian Trade and Investment Delegation later this year to bring together Canadian and Emirati partners, because an agreement on paper is worth nothing until a business in Calgary, in Brampton, in Halifax, in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, uses it to trade and invest. So to every Canadian business out there watching today, we are opening these markets for you, and we are not slowing down. We are just getting started. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Dr. Thani?
Thank you, my dear friend, Excellency Sidhu, and esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to a new era of UAE-Canada relations. Today, our nations have agreed on the terms of comprehensive economic partnership agreements, a multi-level deal that will reduce tariffs on the vast majority of products, improve and expand the service investments, reduce technical barriers to trade, harmonize customs procedures, and create frameworks to increase investments, joint ventures between our business communities. And as a result, it will increase for sure the market access to each of our business communities, drive industrial productivity, accelerate innovations, and for sure increase the growth of our non-oil sectors. It's an agreement that we have reached in record time, 47 days. So special thanks to my dear friend Sidhu, his team, and the negotiation team from both sides for this speedy and professional negotiation which brought us to this level. This agreement is one of the fastest among the 38 CEPAs that we have concluded since we launched the program. And this is a reflection of the strength of the bonds that exist between our two nations, including the deep mutual respect between His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the President of UAE, and His Excellency Mark Carney, the Canada Prime Minister. And it's also the growing economic synergy that we have established. Last year in 2025, based on our numbers, Sidhu, the value of non-oil bilateral trade reached almost 5.9 billion Canadian dollars, a year-on-year increase of almost 21%. That is almost 3 times the global trade growth average. Maybe the number sometimes is different because we calculate as well the exports, the many products that use the UAE as a gateway and hub for many of the Canadian products. We have already as well seen billions of dollars of investments flow into critical sectors here in logistics, finance, advanced technology, and we see huge as well potential to expand and scale scope of commitments to Canada's economy. Another direction, the UAE offers as well very ambitious Canadian enterprises a platform to expand into market of Asia and Africa, and with the pro-growth ecosystem that offers many of the connectivities and the world-class infrastructure. This year has been a reminder that trade is an essential driver for global economy. When it's open, transparent, and stable, everyone thrives. It's why we place trade at the heart of our economic agenda, and we set about concluding comprehensive economic partnership agreements with allies such as Canada. It's also why we have focused on ensuring that the UAE remains at the heart of the global trade with the new investments in our logistic capabilities, supply chain resilience, and renewed commitments to multilateral trading system. I would like again to extend very deep gratitude to His Excellency Sidhu and his team for working together and reaching this holistic and historical milestone, and to the dedication to the UAE-Canada partnership. I'm looking forward to working together in the months and years ahead to deliver the promise of this landmark and many strong and long-term partnership between both nations. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to work with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, ministers. We will now open it up to questions from the media. One question, one follow-up. Please state your outlet and your name, and please direct your question to specific ministers. We'll start right here.
Thank you. James Bradshaw from the Globe and Mail. First, for His Excellency, can you speak specifically to the areas of investment where you see the most opportunity in Canada? Is liquefied natural gas at or near the top of the list? And are there assets or projects that you see as investable in the very near future in Canada?
Absolutely. After the last visit of His Excellency the Prime Minister Marcani to the UAE, we announced the intention of investing around $50 billion US to the Canadian market. And since then, our different sovereign wealth funds and government companies has been visiting and exploring and working with many of the local stakeholders and partners here in Canada. One of them is ADNOC or XRG, who has been leading many of those discussions. And I can assure you that the discussion is going very well, and we're expecting some announcements very soon to come out from the energy sector. What are the sectors? What are the details? I'll keep it to the investors. But there was a very positive progress and negotiation and discussion into the potential projects that we're going to be investing in here in Canada.
Thank you. And to follow up, this agreement obviously helped set some of the conditions for those investments. We haven't seen that US 50 billion, Canadian 70 billion investment pledge start to flow just yet, and there was a sense that UAE investors want to see shovel-ready projects that they can make a decision on, that Canada is maybe in some cases not at that stage yet in the preparation of projects and investment opportunities. What has to happen in order to get that investment flowing to make those dollars move?
We don't see that because the visibilities are happening, the discussion are moving, and we're going to announce it at the right time. So we're just waiting the right opportunity to announce those projects. But from our side, things has been progressing very well in terms of the investments from the UAE side.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, Dr. Thani, as you know, we're hosting the investment summit here in Toronto in less than 2 months, and Dr. Thani has committed that majority of the sovereign wealth funds from the UAE will be here, and they represent about $2.4 trillion. So definitely they're looking at the opportunities. They want to seize those opportunities, but as you know, billion-dollar deals don't happen over one handshake. They take commercial conversations, but there are some sensitivities. As Dr. Thani said, they will be announced in due course. Thank you.
Well, it's worth as well to be mentioned here, Minister Sidhu, that just a few weeks ago we had the UAE Business counterpart visited Canada, which consists of many of our state-owned enterprises. And even on the sideline of this negotiation, I'm having a business delegation who is coming here to continue some of the discussion as well to expand some of their existing presence. For example, DP World is planning to expand and exploring investments in logistics, and we're having some of the commodities traders who would like to buy more products from Canada. And we're having a serious discussion as well, and very advanced discussion on minerals. So the discussion is happening in many of the sectors, and as my friend Sidhu said, the investment summit is going to be another platform where we're going to announce some of those partnerships.
Hi, I'm Zian with Politico. On that $70 billion invested to Canada, or pledged to Canada, how much of that capital do you expect to be committed in the next 12 months, and through which funds or institutions will they fund through?
Well, I'll keep it to the companies to decide. So
Yeah.
As long as it's happening and the discussion is moving, we'll keep it to the companies to announce their numbers.
Yeah, and maybe, Zian, I can add to that is, you heard from Dr. Thani, ADNOC investing in Canada already, DP World involved in the Port of Montreal expansion at Contrecoeur. You've got Mubadala investing in CI Financial. All of this happened over the last 12 months, and there's many more active conversations that we're facilitating as governments, but at the end of the day, it's going to be commercial opportunities and partnerships that are going to be signing those deals.
Canada and the UAE are both targeted in the U.S. administration's finalized Section 301 tariffs. I'm wondering, do you view these tariffs as legitimate, and are there plans to work together or separately to combat these new duties?
Thank you for that question. I mean, look, there's a lot happening on the U.S. file, as you would understand. We don't agree with the Section 301 tariffs, and we have some of the strongest provisions around forced labor. As you know, through our Supply Chains Act, we have forced labor provisions there. You look at what we're doing. The Minister of Foreign Affairs just tabled legislation to enhance our forced labor provisions as well. But we're also investing in CBSA, 1,000 more officers to detect, detain, and go after counterfeit or goods made of forced labor, and we want to make sure that our supply chains keep those goods out of the supply chains. And so we are very serious about it, tackling this issue. And so we do not agree with the tariffs, but again, that's an ongoing conversation that Minister LeBlanc is leading with the team down in the U.S.
Hi, Mark from Global News. My question is for Minister Sidhu. Just to follow up on the imposed labor tariffs. some Canadian forced labor experts are saying that even if Bill 35 is passed, that it won't be enough to satisfy the American their level of Can you respond to that?
I mean, I don't want to respond to a hypothetical. I think it's important that we get this legislation on the floor of the House of Commons and have a wholesome debate on it. But I can say it's a step in the right direction, that it will enhance some of our forced labor provisions to keep forced labor goods out of our supply chains. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Minister Sidhu. Alyssa Mendez with the Canadian Press. I'm wondering whether any of the funds have been deployed. If so, which projects is the UAE funding? And if not, what's the delay?
Yeah, so what we just talked about that very briefly. I mean, if you look at what's happened over the 12 months or so, DP World investing in the Port of Montreal Contrecoeur project. You look at what ADNOC is doing on the West Coast in energy projects. If you look at what Mubadala did with CI Financial, collectively, those deals are worth over $25 billion. And I know from my conversations with many of the sovereign wealth funds, from proponents here in Canada, there is an appetite to do more. It's just the due diligence is happening right now, and so to protect those commercial sensitivities, I think it's important that we allow the proponents to work through those conversations, and we'll have more to say, as Dr. Thani said, in the coming months.
Good afternoon, Ministers. Mila Ewart, CBC News. Mr. Sidhu, the U.S. has threatened a new 50% tariff on Canadian goods, and Canada has already been pushing to diversify its trade partners. How does this latest threat land with you, and how essential is every new deal moving forward?
It's a very good question. I mean, look, the U.S. Is an important trading partner to Canada, but at the same time, the Prime Minister has tasked me to help diversify our trading partners. In fact, he's given me a target of expanding non-U.S. exports by $300 billion by 2035, and we're moving fast. We're moving at speeds never seen before, as you saw from this trade agreement done in less than 50 days to unlock opportunities. We've signed multiple other trade agreements and security arrangements. And if you look at the stats, we're moving in the right direction. The momentum is there. Last year alone, non-U.S. exports have grown by 17%, an increase of $33 billion. But we're going to continue doing more. As you know, I'm negotiating with ASEAN, with Mercosur, with India, with Philippines, with Thailand, with Turkey, and many others. And so we're moving at speeds, as the Prime Minister promised Canadians that we would diversify our trading partners. We need to make sure that we have resilience as a country. And that's exactly what we're doing. I sit on the Cabinet Committee, Build Canada Cabinet Committee, where we review projects of national interest, projects that make it onto the major projects list. Those projects alone are about $200 billion of economic activity for our country. We're signing MOUs with the government of Alberta, signing MOUs with the government of BC. So we're pressing along. We want to make sure that we create opportunities. And coming back to trade and what we're doing here today, this is about opportunities for workers in both countries. This is about opportunities for businesses in both countries. Here in Canada, 70% of our economy is powered by international trade. I mean, I spent 13 years in the private sector. These FTAs are not just for the sake of signing FTAs. We need businesses to utilize those. And so this is why the trade delegations I've been taking out are very important. And we've come home with results. I've taken delegations to South Korea, to Italy, to Japan, and others, and we've come home with over $10 billion of commercial successes. And so we need to continue doing that, continue to engage with our businesses, and we'll continue to make sure that we're diversified.
Thank you, sir. And my follow-up is that the Conservatives say your government was dishonest about the Americans getting a cut of the net revenues from the Gordie Howe bridge tolls. Do you worry at all about the Prime Minister's initial lack of clarity on the issue and how it can lead to mistrust with the public?
I think what Canadians are worried about is putting food on the table. Canadians are worried about what this means for them and their jobs in terms of manufacturing and exports, and that's why we're focused on opening new markets. But coming back to the Gordie Howe Bridge, I'm a member of Parliament in Brampton. A lot of supply chain hub, cold storage, a lot of truck drivers there. They're excited about the Gordie Howe Bridge opening. On that bridge, roughly $1 billion of trade crosses both ways. So it's imperative that we got that bridge open to unlock opportunities for workers in both the U.S. and Canada. And so it's a big day for Canada to celebrate that. I know about the congestions on that bridge, the existing bridge. And so this new option for truck drivers, for our logistical supply chains, is very important as we build up the arteries between the U.S. and Canada.
Good afternoon. A question for our guest. You've come along a long way. Thank you. We get a lot more news from America here than we do from the Middle East, so I hope you can help us out here. The U.S. leaders continue to say that the conflict in the Middle East will be quite short, that oil production has not been damaged, and when things are over, which will be very soon, oil production will return to normal. I mean, this is important in Canada because we produce a lot of oil, but we also use a lot of it. Do you agree with the American perspective that oil markets are going to be back to normal in the near future?
Well, everyone is working toward normalization of the oil situation. And I cannot speak about the world, but I can talk about the UAE policies, because we ramped up already our production, exceeded the 28th February production. We reached last few days to almost 4.1 million barrel per day, and we're expanding our infrastructure investments to ensure that we're going to go even much higher when it comes to oil production. We're working heavily to reduce the dependency on Strait of Hormuz when it comes to our oil exports. Before the end of the year or early next year, we're expecting the second pipeline bypassing the Strait of Hormuz to the east part of the country, exporting the oil. And there is plan to as well. We're doing visibility for a third one, so with the expansion of the oil production in the country. So from our side, we're going to do our all our efforts to ensure we're continuing injecting more oil from our side to the market, but the rest is going to be up to the rest of the world as well. I cannot speak on behalf of the other governments.
Thank you. And Minister Sidhu, to be frank, I haven't seen you much at the center of talks with the U.S. You're the trade minister. That seems like a very logical place for you to be. You know, other ministers like Dominic LeBlanc or Melanie Joly, the prime ministers, seem to have been taking some of the lead. Is this just because Trump likes one-on-one talks? He likes people from central casting? What's going on? Why don't we see you more around the...
Yeah, no, look, my main responsibility is international trade outside the U.S., is to help the Prime Minister diversify markets. So Minister LeBlanc is in charge of Canada-U.S., which is why you're seeing him up in front in the center of stage, and he has a great team around him to work on that conversation along with Prime Minister Carney. My task is to be out there exploring new opportunities, expanding non-U.S. exports, and it's working. I mean, traditionally, we've had about 75% exposure to the U.S. We brought that down to less than 70% now, the highest in 40 years. So our non-U.S. export momentum is growing, and we need to continue doing that. We need to continue focus on new FTAs. Right now, our current FTAs, we've got about 15 FTAs with 51 countries, giving us preferential access to about 1.5 billion consumers. We've added one more today, and so our goal is to double that by next year. And so this is why I'm in charge of negotiating with all these other countries to get those deals and bring them home. Thank you.
This will be the last question.
Hi, Nivedita with Reuters. Thank you for taking my question. Minister Sidhu, you spoke about the speed at which these agreements are getting signed, and I wonder if there's a sense of urgency, especially as we're expecting, the August deadline for the new set of tariffs.
Well, I would say we've been moving at these speeds since we formed government. I mean, typically the government of Canada would sign maybe 1 or 2 agreements a year. We've signed multiple since we first formed office with Ecuador, with Indonesia, with the European Union. The Prime Minister has announced further deals with Germany, with Japan. And those have all led to commercial successes. The Prime Minister announced that I'd be taking a trade mission when he was in Japan. I was there last month. We came home with about $1.7 billion of commercial deals. These are real deals supporting workers here, producing the goods and services that Japan wants to buy. And so the urgency has been there since we formed government. The Prime Minister has been very clear that we can't control what foreign nations do, but we can control what we do and the actions that we take to incentivize investments. On tax provisions, if you look at what we did during Budget 2025 on the super productivity tax incentive, which effectively lowers our marginal tax effective rate to 13.2%, the lowest in the G7, which makes us very attractive for investments. We launched a major projects office. We changed legislation in June to get projects moving faster through red tape, working with provinces, working with territories, working with Indigenous communities. And so we are doing everything in our power that we have control over, whether it's negotiations moving at a speed never seen before, but also building big projects with partners like those in the UAE.
Question on the banking sector. They've shown interest in opening their branches or opening businesses in the region. I wonder if how you're negotiating banking licenses or if there's a speed at which this is being done.
It has been included in the negotiation. The details is going to be revealed during the signing of the agreements. But at the same time, we're facilitating many of the banks who would like to have branches. We had a good discussion today as well with some of the banks. So we're going to be there to facilitate their presence in the UAE, and even not only that, expanding their businesses, and we're going together to cover their countries.
Sorry, that's loud. That was your follow-up. I'm so sorry.
Can I add to that really quickly? Look, National Bank is in the other room. We're going to have a roundtable with the UAE Business Council, which consists of many Canadian companies. So National Bank has opened an office in the Emirates, and so there's many other financial services companies looking to go there. And so we're going to be sitting down with CAE and many AGT from the agriculture sector. And so this is going to be an evolving conversation of what more we can do together, whether it's in financial services or whether it's in products. But again, it's important to mention that currently we have about 150 Canadian companies operating in the UAE. And it's not just about the UAE. The UAE is a leader in the region. And I've heard from many Canadian companies that are exploring opportunities to use UAE as a base to approach the Middle Eastern, Northern African region. And so it's not just about the population of the UAE. This is about the region that collectively is about 400 million people. And so this presents an opportunity in the UAE, but even beyond. And this is what I've heard from provinces across the country. I was in Saskatoon 2 days ago where we sat down with the trade minister there, Warren Kading, and he was very excited. You talked to Premier Danielle Smith. She's excited about the connectivity in terms of air flights between Alberta and the UAE. And so the more connectivity, the more business options we have, the more businesses traveling back and forth. I think we're able to build momentum and get even more free trade between our two countries.
Thank you, Minister Sidhu. This marks at the end of today's press conference. Thank you.
Thank you.